Don't horror movies and anything even close to the horror genre become automatically scarier when right before the movie starts, a screen pops up that says, "Based on a true story"? Despite that, we still go on to watch the movie, hide behind our friends while watching, and then boast about how we weren't scared at all when we're done. Well, today we're going to talk about another horror story that has several movies made on it, but is in fact a true tale. Or, that's what people think at least. So let's start from the beginning. When the Defeo family first moved into their new house in 1965, the family comprised of 7 family members: Ronald Defeo Sr., Louise Defeo, and their 5 children: Ronald Defeo Jr., Dawn Defeo, Allison Defeo, Mark Defeo, and John Matthew Defeo. Their house was in Amityville, Long Island, New York. The address was 112 Ocean Avenue. The family lived quite uneventfully for 9 years in their residence, when suddenly, in 1974, the eldest son, Ronald Defeo Jr., who was 23 at the time, came running into the bar he frequented, announcing to his friends, "You've got to help me. I think my mother and father have been shot." He then went back to the house with a group of people, while his friend, Joe Yeswit, made an emergency call to the local police station. When they arrived at the scene, they were greeted by the dead bodies of not just his mother and father, but all his siblings as well. Autopsy reports and investigation revealed that all the victims were shot at 3 o'clock in the morning using a .35 caliber lever-action Marlin 336C rifle. Both Defeo parents had been shot twice, while all the children had been murdered with single shots. According to physical evidence, Louise Defeo and her daughter, Allison, were both conscious at the time of their deaths. According to the police, the victims were lying face down on their beds, as if they had been placed that way. Ronald claimed to a police officer that the killings were carried out by a mob hitman named Lutz Family. Because of this, the police transported him to the station for his protection. However, he did not remain there for the sake of protection for long, but rather as a criminal. Soon after, Ronald was interrogated at the station, and the questioning revealed numerous contradictions in his version of events. Not only that, but it was discovered that Family, the supposed hitman, had an alibi confirming he was out of state at the time of the murders. Ronald Defeo Jr. officially admitted to his crimes the next day. What Defeo told the detectives was disturbing. "Once I started, I just couldn't stop. It went so fast." He acknowledged taking a bath and changing his clothes, and he revealed where he had disposed of vital evidence, such as blood-stained garments, the Marlin rifle, and bullets before returning to work as normal. As for why he ended up murdering his own family, well, there's some speculations and rumors. It is said that Ronald Defeo Jr., nicknamed Butch, had an abusive father. The family wasn't the happiest a family could be, due to Ronald Sr.'s parenting. Butch soon grew into a troubled teenager. He was employed at the family's automotive shop, but he would skip work often to spend his time at bars. Soon after, he became addicted to alcohol and drugs, which made him violent towards his family as well. This violent behavior became quite physical, and there were other times too where he had pulled a gun on his father, but never shot it. So when he did commit the murders, it was probably because he had finally snapped and couldn't take it anymore. He went off on a killing rampage, murdering family members from room to room, till there was no one left. What's strange is that the gun didn't have a silencer, but none of the neighbors reported hearing any gunshots. Maybe they were too sound asleep. Whatever the case, Butch didn't get away with it. He was convicted for 6 counts of murder, which meant 6 consecutive life-term sentences. Butch died behind bars earlier this year, in March 2021, serving his sentence at the Sullivan Correctional Facility in New York. But the house where the murders took place wouldn't remain empty for long. You would think that any sane person would be rightfully freaked out to live in a house where a mass murder took place. But the Lutz family, despite being informed of the murders, thought $80,000 for that house was a pretty good deal, and it soon became their dream home. It didn't remain their dream home for long, though, as the events that followed were enough to drive the family out of the house. These events have been documented in books and movies and came to be known as the Amityville Horrors. The Amityville Horrors began almost immediately after the family moved into the house. The couple had the house blessed by a priest on the day they moved in. However, the couple claimed that in the sewing room, the priest said to have felt an invisible hand hit him and heard a voice scream, "Get out." The couple experienced unexplained and sudden personality changes as well. George Lutz, who was the husband of Kathy Lutz, was an avid businessman before he moved into the house. But soon after, he became sluggish and crankier than usual. He claimed to start waking up every night at 3:15 a.m. exactly. Nothing strange about that, other than the fact that this was the exact time that the Defeo murders took place. But this was only the start of it. Soon after, the couple reported observing strange occurrences throughout the house, such as doors wrenched off of hinges, cupboards slamming shut, and slime pouring from the ceilings. Some more disturbing instances included a room that was infested with flies when winter came. Other members of the family also experienced strange things. George Lutz claimed that at times during the night when he would suddenly wake up, he would look at his wife to find her aging rapidly into a 90-year-old woman, even levitating at times. Sometimes she would look like another person entirely. Apparently, this was one of the house's effects on her. The couple claimed to have heard their children's beds slamming up and down at night. But when trying to rush to the room, they would find that they couldn't get out of bed, as if paralyzed by an invisible force. George also said that once, he saw his little daughter, Missy, standing in front of the window of her room, staring blankly outside. He said that he saw an outline behind her. The thing looked like a pig, with glinting red eyes. But when he immediately ran to check on his daughter, he found her sound asleep in her room. Strangely, Missy soon started talking about a new friend she had made. She described this friend as a pig and called it Jody. The family also discovered a secret room in the basement underneath the house. This room was nowhere on the original blueprints of the house. The room itself was quite strange as well. It was painted completely blood red and was barely big enough to fit 2 people inside. The room also had a strange odor that would come and go randomly. Whatever the case, these events horrified the family enough to completely abandon the house just 28 days after moving in. They were in such a rush to get out that they left all their stuff behind, including furniture, clothes, and whatnot. However, these events inspired Jay Anson to write a book named The Amityville Horror, where he collaborated with the family and everyone involved to detail all the events in the book. Several movies have been made as well. But after the initial shock was over, a lot of people speculated that the events might have been exaggerated or made up altogether. A lot of families moved into the house ever since the Lutz family left, but none of them experienced any of the events that the Lutzes had experienced. The family's lawyer even came out and said that they all came up with these stories over several bottles of wine. In fact, George Lutz was known to be an enthusiast of occultism and might have exaggerated the events. However, lie detector tests showed that the two were not lying. One thing we should consider is that the family had some money issues, and the several movies and books earned the family quite a lot of money. So maybe it might have been a hoax. Whatever the case was, the truth behind these horrors is quite a mystery to behold. The story is widely known to be fake, but it still doesn't stop being any less interesting.